Hello everyone, I'm Angeline.
And I'm Sam.
And welcome to English Digest. We're so glad you could join us today. In today's episode, we'll be going over our translation unit. As usual, we'll be going over two topics. In part A, we're going to be talking about emotional blackmail, which basically means to use fear, obligation, and guilt to manipulate a person. We'll go into further detail about this in a few moments. Then, in part B, we'll be talking about how people's shopping habits have changed since COVID-19. So without further ado, let's take a look at part A.
好的，马上呢，我们看到 Part A 的单句翻译了。在我们这个 Part A 呢，要来讨论这个最近很热门的话题，也就是情绪勒索。那我们马上看到第一句哦，中文他说呢，如果某人利用呢你对他们的同情心，让你满足他们的愿望，你已受害于情绪勒索。那在这边呢，翻译之前呢，先提醒大家，在我们前半句的这个如果，我们就可以使用 if 的条件句。那在 if 条件句呢，我们前半呢就使用这个现在简单时，它就用来表示现在或者是未来可能会发生的事情。那后半部的话呢，我们就是使用现在完成式来表达这个已经造成的结果咯。
Okay, the sentence translates to, if someone uses your sympathy for them to make you fulfill their wishes, you've fallen victim to emotional blackmail.So I gave you a brief definition of emotional blackmail earlier in our introduction, but let's take a closer look at what exactly emotional blackmail is. Let's first define the word blackmail, okay? So if someone blackmails you, they try to get money from you or make you do what they want by threatening to tell other people your secrets.OK,
所以呢，马上先看到呢 blackmail 这个单字呢，这个单字你就想象一下黑色的 mail 黑色的信哦，所以呢，它一定不是什么好消息了。这个单字呢，我们中文就翻译为勒索或是敲诈。那这个字呢，它可以当名词哦，就指勒索的这件事情。那它也可以当及物动词 blackmail 谁，就是呢勒索谁这样子。那今天呢，我们要翻译的句子呢，讲到这个 emotional blackmail 这件事情哦，就是情绪勒索咯。
Okay, so in the same way blackmail induces a person to do something, emotional blackmail involves someone trying to get what he or she wants from you by using his or her feelings to control you. So instead of holding secrets against you, they manipulate you with your emotions. It's the act of using a person's feelings of kindness, sympathy, or duty in order to persuade them to do something or feel something. So the reason why this is possible is because there's a very close relationship between the two people. That's why I can use kindness, your kindness, because I know how kind you are. Or I can use your sympathy. I want you to feel sorry for me. Or I can use your duty. So maybe we're friends, or maybe you're my father, I'm your daughter, or vice versa, that kind of thing. It's these types of relationships where emotional blackmail can happen. So emotional blackmail can exist in the context of a romantic relationship. Okay, so you and your significant other, a parent and child relationship, like I said earlier, like a parent domineering over their child, or any relationship where the ties are close-knit. So for example, a toxic friend might emotionally blackmail a friend by saying, if you were a real friend, you would be there for me 24/7. Okay. So the message of an emotional blackmailer is this. If you don't do what I want and when I want it, you will be sorry. I will make you suffer.
好，情绪勒索就包含这个利用你的同情心啊，你的同理心，甚至是你们之间这个很紧密的关系呢，用这种东西来威胁你，来达到他想要达成的目的了。那句子里面呢，我们这个一定要翻译这个句子里面，他说对某人的同情心，那这个用法呢，我们在这边就用了这个名词 sympathy。那 sympathy 后面可以接上介系词 for 加上一个人，就表示你对这个人的同情心。那前面如果我们要搭配动词的话，我们可以用这个 have。或是 feel 有同情心，感受到同情心。那另外它的形容词的用法呢，我们会说 be sympathetic to somebody, OK, 对谁这个有同情心，或是你也可以用 toward. Being an orphan herself, Jane is sympathetic towards children who grow up without their parents. OK, 珍呢，她是一个孤儿，所以她很同情那些成长过程中没有父母陪伴的小孩。那使谁呢？让谁做什么事情？我们刚刚讲到这个情绪勒索，就是利用你的同情心，后面呢使你让你去做什么事情。那使你或让你做什么事情呢？我们就要使用的是实义动词了。比方说像是这个 make 啦。have, that, get 这些呢都是实义动词。 那它的用法分两种哦，我们要看后面的受词是主动还是被动的来做这件事情了。主动的呢，我们就会使用这个实义动词。如果是 get 的话，我们就会说 get 受词 to do something。例如呢，这个 get yourself to sleep， 让你自己去睡觉。make、have 或是 that 的话呢，后面呢直接加上原形动词。比方说像这首歌 Make you feel my love， 让你感受到我的爱。注意到 make you 是受词，那后面直接加上原形动词。那如果受词是被动的接受动作的话呢，我们 get、make、have 这个加上受词之后呢，我们直接加上的是过去分词 VPP。那如果是 that 的话呢，注意到 that 加上受词，后面呢是加上这个 be 动词，再加上过去分词了。好，我们可以看一下这个例句 When I'm too busy to cook， 当我太忙而无法煮饭的时候呢 I get dinner delivered to my house， 我会让这个晚餐呢外送到我家。
Thanks to Uber Eats, now it's so easy to get food delivered to your house. Like we said earlier, if a person emotionally blackmails you, they are making threats or demands so you can fulfill or grant their wish.
Fulfill 或者是呢用 grant 后面呢加上一个人的愿望 fulfill one's wish 就表示呢满足或是达成这个人的愿望。那这个很常呢就在这个童话故事里面看到 The spirit said it would grant the girl's wish if she gave it something in return。 那个精灵呢说如果小女孩给她某物作为回报呢，她就会达成她的愿望。
Okay, so an example of using sympathy to emotionally blackmail someone might be, let's say, Angela wants to have a girls' night out. She tells her boyfriend about this, and her boyfriend might say, okay, you go have fun. I'll just stay at home by myself. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'll just be by myself. He tries to get sympathy from his girlfriend, right? Okay. And he's doing this in hopes that she will feel sorry for him. And she will then change her mind and stay at home with him. So Angela will feel guilty and then she will decide to stay in with her boyfriend. Angela might not realize that actually she's fallen victim to emotional blackmail.
很多人呢都像刚刚这个故事一样就是其实不知道自己已经成为这个情绪勒索的被害者了。那如果呢我们在这个句子里面说的这个用法受到什么所害，或是沦为什么事件、什么事情、什么人的受害者，在这边呢我们就可以用 fall 就是这个跌倒掉下来这个动词，你可以说 fall victim to someone or something。 那或是呢你也可以说 be the victim of 后面加上这件事情，你也可以说 fall prey to。 prey 在这边呢是指被猎杀的猎物。 Some elderly people fall prey to banking scams by giving their personal information to strangers。 有些长辈透露自己的私人讯息给陌生人，而沦为这个银行诈骗的受害者了。
Okay, so emotional blackmail is not really different from regular blackmail, okay? What really sets them apart, like I said earlier, is the fact that emotional blackmail happens in close, intimate relationships, right? For example, I wouldn't be able to emotional blackmail a stranger. So as a result, victims of emotional blackmail might not even realize this is happening to them, okay? So some warning signs of emotional blackmail is the fact that the blackmailer may try to control your every move or make you responsible for their actions, okay? So for example, let's say I get angry and as an emotional blackmailer, I might say, well, I'm angry because you made me angry. Okay. And you would put the blame on other people, on the people close to you and say that I'm acting this way because of what you did to me. You were the one who started this, right? A victim may be apologizing a lot, okay? Giving in or making sacrifices, and or they might feel intimidated by their partner. Well, what should happen if you find yourself a victim of emotional blackmail? Let's take a look at sentence two.
好，马上来看到我们的这个第二个单句翻译了。它呢就是要讲说这个，如果你发现到你自己已经成为这个情绪勒索的被害人的时候，该怎么办呢？他说呢，要克服人们情绪勒索的企图呢，你得设立界限，并且要坚守这个界限。在这边呢，我们就使用助动词 must 表示呢一定得要做的事情。
The sentence translates to rise above people's attempts at emotional blackmail, you must set boundaries and stick to them. Okay, so the solution to not falling prey to emotional blackmail is to rise above or overcome attempts at emotional blackmail.
在这边呢，我们用到这个克服的用法，克服比方说像是这个克服困难啊，克服障碍很常使用 overcome 这个及物动词。那 overcome 它也有这个战胜的意思那 除了 overcome 之外呢，你也可以使用这个 surmount 或是 rise above， 这两个呢都有在什么之上啊，就是超越或是跨越的感觉，所以呢它也可以被翻译为克服了。We can surmount our lack of experience with this by getting an expert's help。 我们可以藉由呢获得专家的协助来克服我们经验上的不足。那想要情绪勒索的企图呢，这个企图我们可以使用这个名词 attempt。 你可以说呢 an attempt at something， 或是呢 an attempt to do something。 OK， 那这个字呢也可以当成动词哦，后面可以直接加上不定词 to， 再加上一个原形动词，表示你企图要去做什么事情。Wade's attempts to cheat at the game ended in him being banned from play. OK， 韦德呢企图要在比赛作弊，最终呢导致他被禁赛了。
Okay, and the word boundaries refer to the unofficial rules about what should not be done. Okay, there are limits that define acceptable behavior. Let's use the teacher-student relationship as an example, okay? So a teacher might set healthy boundaries by choosing not to share too much about their private life with his or her students. Okay, they want to maintain this relationship, a so-called professional relationship, so that the kids or the students don't know, maybe about the teacher's love life. Parents might set boundaries with their children, okay? For example, parents might ask their children never to enter their bedroom without knocking first. Likewise, a child may ask this of their parents as well, right? A child might say, if you want to come into my room, please knock. Okay, don't just barge in through the door. Setting healthy boundaries is a crucial aspect of mental health and well-being.
这个呢，设定界限呢，就跟这个你的这个身心灵健康哦很有关系了。那呢，界限是什么单字呢？大家有没有小学跟别人同桌呢？你就要用这个粉笔画线，跟他说，不可以越界，不可以越界。越界的这个界呢，我们就会英文里面就是用 boundary 这个单字。这个字呢，就是指界限，或是像这个边界。所以 set boundaries 就是设立界限。那它后面可以搭配 with somebody， 表示呢跟这个某人设立界限呢。It's important to set boundaries in any relationship， 在任何关系呢，设立界限是很重要的 ，or you risk being taken advantage of， 否则呢，你就有被利用的这个风险了。那设立界限之后呢，还要怎么样？还要很坚持。坚持呢，在这边我们就用 stick 这个动词哦。stick 这个动词呢，它就有粘贴的意思。所以呢 ，stick to something， 或者呢，你可以说 stick to doing something， 紧紧贴着 ，OK， 就表示呢你是坚守、坚持这件事情。I don't care if it's hard， 我不在意呢这困不困难呢。You made a promise and you have to stick to it。你做了承诺呢，那你就要坚守承诺咯。
That's right. So you shouldn't make promises so easily. I don't know if you know, but like a lot of kids that always say, but you promise. They always say that to their parents. But
yes.
You promised. I don't know. Is there an equivalent in Chinese that kids say to their parents?
你明明说过啊。You said this before, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so emotional blackmail can lead to very toxic, unhealthy relationships. So it's very important to address this issue because this pattern will likely continue, right? Every time you concede, you're showing the perpetrator that they can emotionally blackmail you to get their ways. Okay, so there's really no way to get out of this unless you rise above or you pretty much stand up against these people, these so-called bullies, right?
Bullies, yes.
Yeah, they're never going to stop this cycle because that's how they always get things. Anyways, before we continue with part B, let's take a quick break, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back. Now we're going to switch gears and talk about how shopping has changed, especially because of COVID-19.
好的，在我们 Part B 的单句翻译里面呢，我们要来看一下这个受到新冠肺炎影响呢，这个大家的购物习惯有什么改变了？我们的第一个单句他说，因为全球新冠肺炎 COVID-19 的爆发，许多人现在喜欢网络购物，而不是去实体店面。在这边呢，我们这个句子是描述一个现在社会上的一个现象所以它是一个事实。所以呢，在这边我们句子使用现在简单式来描述就可以喽。
In English, the sentence reads, because of the global outbreak outbreak of COVID-19, many people currently prefer shopping online to visiting physical stores. Okay, so this is certainly true for me because before COVID-19, I prefer to go to physical stores than shop online. I enjoy window shopping, and when I make purchases, I would like to see them in the flesh, okay? Especially when it comes to clothing, right? I think clothing, especially pictures with clothing, it can be so deceiving.
Yes. Yeah.
And if you can't try it on, like for me, I like to try them on before I buy them, especially because in Taiwan, there is no... the return policy is not as flexible as it is in North America.
Yes.
Like in North America, we have 30 days to return, to refund, to exchange, sometimes even 60 days. But in Taiwan, once you buy it, that's pretty much a final sale. You really can't get your money back. And maybe you can exchange, but it's always a very tedious process.
Yeah.
So, however, my shopping habits definitely have changed as a result of COVID-19. Okay, so in the beginning of the year, I basically quarantined myself at home. I was so afraid to go out. I didn't want to go anywhere. The only place I'd go to is the supermarket. And it was only to get fresh produce, okay? So like vegetables and fruits and meat. I'd also choose to go to a quiet supermarket in the late evening, so around like almost close to 9 p.m., so that there'd be less people in the store. Now, I've actually gotten so used to this, so used to going out and not being in crowds, that now when I go to crowded places, they kind of make me feel uncomfortable and nervous. Yeah. The recent event I went to was Nuit Blanc in Taipei.
That's very crowded.
Yeah, it was very, very, very crowded. It's the annual All Nights Festival. I don't know if you guys know about this one. The Nuit Blanche, I think it's called Blanche Taipei. Nuit Blanche Taipei. And it's annual All Nights Festival. This year it was on Civic Boulevard, which is Civic Boulevard, but pretty much it was by Nangang Station.
Yes.
Between Nangang Station and Kunyang Station. Yeah, so that's where it was held this year. Once I arrived, I immediately regretted my decision. And I actually went around 7:30. So actually the event didn't start yet because I think the event's... Like it starts, but most of the attractions happen around 10 p.m. So it was like really early, actually.
But still, it's crowded.
It was crowded, yeah. It was so crowded. And what was scary was that a lot of people weren't even wearing masks. Yeah, so though Taiwan seems to have COVID-19 under control, I think the outbreak of COVID-19 is far from over. So I don't think it's safe to go around, especially in crowded areas, without a mask on.
Maybe they're like trying to take a photo with the like exhibits or...
Oh, no, because there weren't any exhibits where I was. People were like, it was kind of like there were a lot of food trucks. So everybody was like,
that's really
walking
bad.
down. And yeah, the food trucks, you don't really need to take off your mask unless you're eating. But yeah, you can't really stand there and eat because it's so crowded. So really, there was no reason for them to have their mask off.
OK， 好，所以呢，我们在这个 Part B 呢，就要来看一下这个新冠肺炎的疫情了。那这个疾病呢，或是一个，比方说像是冲突啊，或是这个战争的爆发呢，这个爆发我们可以使用这个名词 outbreak。那注意到呢，不要跟另外一个名词break out 给混淆了。break out 的意思是越狱或者是逃脱。那如果呢，我们要用动词形式来表达这个爆发的话呢，我们可以使用这个动词片语break out。Huge protests broke out when the locals heard what the new law would mean. 当居民听说新法可能代表的意思大型的抗议呢就爆发了。那在这边呢，我们看到这个喜欢 A 而不是喜欢 B。那除了呢很简单，你可以讲说 like A better than B， 喜欢 A 多一点之外呢，你也可以使用 prefer 这个动词。你可以说呢 prefer A to B。注意到呢 A B 这边呢是用名词或是动名词都可以那你也可以说 prefer to do something rather than do another thing。你喜欢做这个 A 这件事情，而不是喜欢做 B 这件事情。Eleanor prefers to buy food from restaurants rather than cook at home。在这边呢，我们是用 rather than 的这个用法rather than 呢，跟刚刚这个 prefer 一样你可以讲说这个prefers 一件事情后面的 rather than 第二件事情。那呢，你也可以很简单用我们刚刚讲的 like 来造句。Eleanor likes buying food from restaurants better than cooking at home. 伊琳诺呢，她喜欢呢从餐厅买食物，而不是自己在家煮。
I kind of feel like I can kind of
relate to that?
Yeah, I can relate to Eleanor because if I had a choice, yeah, I would definitely prefer to buy food from restaurants rather than cook at home. But I cook at home because it's supposed to be healthier, right?
Yes, yeah.
Most of the food outside is not as healthy.
Healthier, cleaner maybe.
Yeah, cleaner too. Yeah, that's true. But honestly, in Taiwan, I feel like it's actually cheaper to eat out. Of course,
yes.
Depending on where you're eating, like obviously not at hotels and fancy restaurants, but like even just eating like the bento box, it's so much cheaper than cooking at home.
Yeah, and cooking at home, it takes a lot of time
It
to
does.
prepare to cook.
It takes time, and then you have to clean up. It's like a 3-hour process. Yeah, it takes a long time. Okay, so physical stores can also be called brick and mortar. For some services, having an online store is sufficient, okay? But as for others, having both an online presence and a physical presence might be more effective.
那相对我们刚刚讲的这个线上店 online shop 或者是这个网络商店OK， 那线下的实体的店面呢，英文我们就说 physical store。physical 这个形容词呢，就是实体的。那除此之外呢，你也可以说这个 brick and mortar store。brick 呢就是砖块 ，mortar 就是石灰。那这些呢都是用来这个盖房子的材料。因此呢，我们说这个 brick and mortar store 就是表示是实体店面真的是有盖出来的哦，有实体建筑物的。
Yeah, now a lot of like online stores, instead of committing themselves to a brick and mortar store, they've chosen to do pop-up stores.
Yes.
Pop-up stores, right?
It's very popular.
Yeah, so pop-up stores are like these stores that they set up that are usually temporary. Very, very small little places that kind of just showcase a few products or a few samples.
Yes.
And then they don't have to commit to a brick and mortar store. Okay. Anyways, let's take a look at sentence 2.
好，马上能看到我们第二句的这个单句翻译哦。他说呢，这个延续着我们前面讲这个 COVID-19 影响这个消费行为呢，第二句我们接着讲啊，他说这促进了宅经济的崛起，但同时呢也导致一些传统零售商店受到冲击。那在这边呢，注意到我们这些传统零售商店是已经受到冲击了，所以我们在这边是使用现在完成式来表达这个已经造成的结果。
In English, the sentence is translated to, this has contributed to the rise of the stay-at-home economy, but at the same time has caused some traditional retail stores to take a hit. Okay, so in 2020, we've been encouraged or even ordered to stay at home, okay? In Taiwan, I would say our lives haven't been too inconvenienced by COVID-19, right? However, in other parts of the world, countries were on lockdown, okay, at some point during 2020. Now, you weren't allowed to leave your home unless for essential services, okay? So that means you can go out to obviously see the doctor, you can go out to buy groceries, but you can't go to shopping malls, they would be closed. You definitely can't go
to restaurants.
You cannot eat in most of the restaurants. Yeah, you can't dine into restaurants. Some restaurants weren't open though, I think. So yeah, a lot of services were definitely forced to close down. The pandemic has definitely accelerated the rise of the stay-at-home economy. So if businesses can't keep up with this trend, they'll be left behind.
疫情哦，这个促进了宅经济的发展，促进呢或是导致，在例句里面呢，我们就使用了这个片语 contribute to。那注意到呢，我们这个 to 后面是接名词了，导致什么事情？那类似的这个动词哦，或是动词片语呢，我们可以说 cause， 或是呢 lead to、result in、bring about， 或是 give rise to。OK， 这些片语啊，这些动词都有这个促进或是导致什么结果的意思啊。OK，her refusal to wear sunscreen while hiking led to Maggie getting a painful sunburn。 马基呢没有在健行的时候擦防晒，导致他遭受让人这个很难受的晒伤。那另外呢，促进宅经济崛起哦，在这边我们可以使用这个动词 rise 就是这个中文说的这个举起，有这样的意涵，所以这件事情被提高了，被举起来了，它的能见度就变高了，所以呢就引申为变得流行这样的意思哦。OK， 网红的崛起呢，已经改变了公司帮自己产品打广告的方式。The rise of the internet influencer has changed the way companies advertise their products.
That is very true. Okay, so now instead of, putting their products on big, huge billboards, or
Yes.
even playing them on, like, having commercials on TV, they've decided to use internet influencers to promote their products. So these are these people that are on Facebook
Yes.
and on Instagram who are very famous
on TikTok.
online. Yeah, oh, even on TikTok, yeah.
Yeah.
And you basically see them taking a picture with these products, using these products,
Yes.
promoting these products, sometimes very obviously, sometimes not so obviously.
More subtle.
Yeah, more subtle, but the internet influencers have definitely changed the way marketing is being done now. Okay, so COVID-19 has affected many businesses worldwide. The first industries to take a hit are probably aviation,
Yes.
so airline
Yes.
industry, as well as tourism, okay, so hotels, tourist packages, everything related to tourism. Next would be non-essential services, especially when many jurisdictions order these non-essential services to close in an effort to control the spread of the virus, okay? So the definition of non-essential services can be different for each country or even each city, but they're generally services that aren't necessary, okay? So such as retail shops, nail salons, movie theaters, and golf courses.
Yeah.
Those are just to name a few.
Yeah, those are like really non-essential.
Non-essential, yeah. We don't need them to live.
句子里面呢说这个零售商店会受到影响哦，那零售商店呢我们就可以说 retail store 或是呢 retailer。那 retailer 也可以指这个零售业者的意思。This is an online retailer that sells all kinds of technology products。这是间呢网络零售商店，它贩卖各式各样的科技产品。那疫情爆发之后呢，现在最明显受影响、首当其冲的呢就是航空业跟观光业。那经济如果再继续不好呢，像是娱乐啊或是奢侈品这种 non-essential 不是必要的消费呢，势必也会减少，也会被冲击。那受到冲击哦，我们就可以使用这个片语 take a hit。hit 在这边呢就有这个不良的影响的意思了。Our company took a hit last year when we had to recall one of our products。当我们公司去年得回收我们的一项产品时，受到了很大的冲击。好的，所以呢这边呢是我们刚刚 Part B 的句子，我们呢休息一下。
Unit 6, Translation, December 9th. If someone uses your sympathy for them to make you fulfill their wishes, you've fallen victim to emotional blackmail. To rise above people's attempts at emotional blackmail, you must set boundaries and stick to them. Because of the global outbreak of COVID-19, many people currently prefer shopping online to visiting physical stores. This has contributed to the rise of the stay-at-home economy, but at the same time has caused some traditional retail stores to take a hit. So 2020 has been a crazy year, and it's actually kind of hard to imagine what 2021 will look like. It can be very stressful to live with all this uncertainty, all this doubt. So if there's only one good thing that came from all of this, I would say that 2020 has taught me, I don't know if it's taught the rest of you, but it's definitely taught me to live in the moment and to be grateful.
Yeah, to be grateful.
Yeah, that's one of the big lessons I've learned in 2020. Okay, so we've come to the end of our lesson for today. We hope you enjoy it, and I guess we'll see you guys next year in 2021.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Okay, goodbye, guys.